All right, just want to pray real quick. I pray like the Lord blesses the story to whoever he has me tell it to. And you guys, pray blesses all you guys. I pray this glorifies the Lord, and I just ask the Spirit to lead tonight. I'm going to read this verbatim because it's a lot, and then I'll stop when I need to, and you guys can ask questions after. Okay, this is my testimony. When I was about 15, you guys' age, my Uncle Bill told me about Jesus Christ. He started telling me, he started discipling me. I had questions, he had the answers. We searched through the Bible together. When I was 21, I started working at High Desert State Prison. After about 2 years, I realized that wasn't where God wanted me to be. And I was really searching out for the Lord. I went to Europe. I saved a lot of money being a CEO. I saved a lot of money. I went to Europe trying to figure things out. I'll just, backpack and search for the Lord, with me in my Bible. It was a fantasy. I just fell flat on my face. And I came back to the States. I realized, man, I want to do what God's going to do. I felt that, He gives us that desire of our hearts. God is a good God. And I felt that He wanted me to go to El Salvador. He's like, go to El Salvador. It's secluded. Do your heart's desire, which is to be an artist. That's what I wanted to do. And just read my Bible, grow my relationship with Jesus Christ. So I went down to El Salvador, and it was everything. My father was down there, so I followed my father. He had a few businesses down there, but I got hooked up with the artist of El Salvador. His name was Miguel Orellana. And he's known the artist for El Salvador. He was teaching me. I had a great, beautiful teacher. And he taught me everything I knew about painting. And everything was going good. And I started hanging out with my stepbrother. And, it just went south from them. And I was doing drugs, drinking, smoking. Anyway, so I wasn't reading my Bible, I tell you that much. I put God aside again, and I was very selfish. I wanted to live my life. I wanted to do it my way. Anyway, so in 2001, early 2001, a huge earthquake hit El Salvador, right off the coast of El Salvador. It devastated the country. Me and my father were looking at property up in the mountain, and it felt like it took forever. The ground was like standing on a waterbed. The noise was horrific. Anyway, this devastated the country. Leveled buildings, there was mudslides that would cover entire towns. And the hospitals were overwhelmed. They were running on generators. It was horrible. It was horrible. Crime was up. Death was everywhere. Anyway, at this time, my grandfather was very sick. He was on his deathbed. And I asked my uncle, uncle, I want to go see this is my mom's brother, Ricardo. So I want to go see my grandfather before he passes away. I want to spend time with him. So we meet in like eatery, where people turn their homes into house. If you've been to third world countries, they turn their homes into restaurants. So we were there in the driveway area, and we were sitting down, and my uncle was there to take me to see my grandfather because it was too dangerous for me to drive by myself. Anyway, so we were sitting down, and this guy comes in, and he goes through the driveway, past the tables that were in the driveway, into the house. And then 4 other guys come around the corner with guns drawn. And my dad, without hesitation, he has a gun always next to him. He started blasting these guys. And it was like crazy. I don't remember what happened. All I know is I got shot in the head. The bullet went in here and came out here. And I got shot one in the leg. My father was shot 4 times. 2 in his back that would have hit my torso area. And 1 in his arm and 1 nicked his head. He just grazed his head. And that was it. My uncle hit the ground as soon as my dad started firing. When the firing was over and everybody was freaked out because it was a restaurant, my uncle was asking for help, screaming for help, and I didn't know this till after. But no one would help my uncle. He's like, these guys are still alive. So he put my father in a taxi and said, take him to this hospital. My uncle's a doctor, by the way, very renowned doctor. I'll tell you about that. But he grabbed my head. He tried to keep it together because it was bleeding. Your head bleeds really bad. And he was holding my head together and saying, Rodrigo, Rodrigo. That's my middle name. That's what we go by in my name. So he said, Rodrigo. And all I could say, I could feel the warmth, I could feel the blood, couldn't see anything. All I could tell my uncle was, please don't tell my mother. I didn't want my mother to find out. I was like, just please don't tell my mother. I kept repeating that, please don't tell my mom. They put the girl that was serving her, she was like a teenage girl, and she's the only one that helped my uncle put me in his pickup truck, and someone drove us to the hospital. Anyway, after that, okay, during that time when I was in the hospital, I was in a coma. And in the circumstances, the hospitals were like I said, in total, working off our generators. The circumstances were super bad and my injuries were super bad. And my uncle called my mom and he said, hey, get down here, Rodrigo's been shot, he's not gonna make it, he's not gonna be here that long. So both my brothers, my sister and mother flew down to El Salvador. And the cool part is that the blessing, one of the blessings, many blessings of this, is they got to see my grandfather. All of them, his daughter and his grandkids, both my brothers and my sister, got to see my grandfather one last time. They got to say goodbye to him. And he was like super like, wow, I felt honored that they would travel to El Salvador to say goodbye to him. You know what I mean? They asked where I was and I was in the hospital, but they didn't tell him that. I forgot what they told him. Anyway, so my grandfather passed away while I was in a coma or in the hospital. When I came out of my coma, the first person I saw was my sister. And, she's like, I was taking off all my bandages off my head. And she's like, Rodrigo, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh crap, you caught me. I told her I was Owlman, like the superhero, like I thought there was an Owlman. Anyway, I told her I was this character, like Owlman, and she started crying. And she's like, no, believe me, go to the garage, you'll see my helicopter, you'll see my, all my stuff, and I fight crime, this and that. She thought I lost my mind. She thought, okay, he's lost his mind, he's crazy. That's my brother from now on. So she started crying, she left the room, and then my brothers came in, and I came at it, and I lost my mind for a minute. And anyway, when I came to, I realized that my whole left side of my face was, my whole left side of my body was paralyzed. I couldn't walk, I couldn't do anything. And including my face, it looked like I had a stroke. I don't know if you've ever seen people with a stroke that they lose all their feeling in their face. Anyway, so I was laid out, I was paralyzed, half of my body was paralyzed, and I started getting therapy. And my therapist, when I finally walked out of the hospital, and they were amazed. They're like, this guy should be dead. And they said they left the bullet fragments and the bone fragments in my brain because they would mess me up real bad if they would have took those out. So I still have those in there. So anyway, I was in rehabilitation. I walked out of the hospital. It was freaking cool. Everybody was like super like, wow, dude. And then so my therapist was Jehovah's Witnesses. I had tons of questions after that. Like, why did it survive? You can imagine. So the therapist, Jehovah's Witness. So she started giving me all these answers. I'm, oh yeah, that's right around. So when I was safe enough to fly back to the United States, I went to Santa Rosa, my hometown, and I went to a Kingdom Hall, which is like where the Jehovah's Witnesses meet. Anyway, so I went there. My uncle called me when I got home. He's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, hey, I went to this place. It sounds pretty cool. He's like, do you know what they know about Jesus Christ? And I'm like, I know what I know about Jesus Christ. He's my Lord and Savior, and He saved my life. You know what I mean? That's what I know, the God Almighty. Anyway, unfortunately, the Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe that. And that was a bummer. So I came up to Susanville. I tried to reinstate as a correctional officer. And God didn't want that. They diagnosed me with PTSD. And I worked as a clerk. And I did that, and I was on fire for the Lord, man. I was like going to Bible study 7 days a week. I couldn't get enough of the Word. I was hungry for the Word. I was like, Lord, why did you save me? I listened to Greg Glory. I don't know if you guys know, there's a radio station called CSN, Calvary Satellite Network. Greg Glory's on that. And back then, I used to listen all the time. He always gave an invitation to come to Christ at the end of his sermons. Anyway, I must have accepted the Lord like a month straight, every time I heard it, And he told the story about a shepherd boy and a shepherd. And the story goes that he had always one sheep that went astray. And he went astray and kept going astray. Anyway, the rod he used to break the sheep's leg, and he carried it, and he fed it with his hand. And a stranger passed by and was like, "Hey, what happened to your sheep? Did a wolf attack it, or what happened? Did it fall off a cliff?" He's like, "No, I broke its leg." He said, "Why would you do that if you love your sheep?" He's like, "Because I love my sheep." Anyway, that story rung true because God had permitted all these things to happen so I could get close to Him, you know. And that's what I did. I got really close to the Lord. I climbed Mount Lassen, and I prayed again up there, like, "Lord, I really mean it this time." I wanted to make that solid commitment that you need to have to serve God. It's not a wishy-washy, you know, do your own thing. I do it. You know what I mean? I still do it. I still fail. But God is a loving, gracious God. Anyway, I climbed the mountain. I prayed again, and you don't need to do, nobody needs to do that. God hears us wherever we're at. But I felt it as a personal thing to do something meaningful in order to honor the Lord. He put it in my heart to go across the United States on a bicycle and to give people tracts, to enforce spiritual laws, tell people about Jesus Christ, not what He did for me personally, but what He did for all of us on the cross. I came back, and again, every single day I could see God's hand in my life. It was even when I doubted, like, "You sure? I mean, this is kind of crazy," and something miraculous happened. I have tons of stories if you guys ever want to get more about that trip. I came back. I was still far from the Lord. I met Kendra, my first wife, and her 2 children. I fell in love with them. I married him. I felt the Lord was blessing my life, and then things kind of went sideways, and she chose a path, and I chose to serve my God, you know, and that's it. And
all right, take a minute.
Sorry. I had to deal with the death, like, as if my wife passed away, to be able to cope. And the Lord blessed me with friends that came alongside me and guided me like you wouldn't believe. And He was there for me. God was there for me. And it was, and that thing, I'm like, "God, I surrender to you. You're my everything." When everything was stripped away from me, I thought, that's something special, guys. I told the Lord, I'm gonna follow you till the day I die. I want the best. I want your best for me. And I said, I'm not gonna settle for any woman. I'm not gonna settle for any fleshly desires, Lord. And I had my standards. I wasn't gonna go back to. I had nothing to go back to except God. And then God blessed me with Erica. And she loves the Lord. And I love the Lord. And she helps me out. She's a helper. God sent me a helper, and I'm blessed to have her. And I just tell my children, I love you guys. And I love you guys. I love all you guys. And that's my story.
Hey, Jaime, so how old were you when you had your head removed?
I was 21. I was 21. No, I was 22. I was 23. I was 23. It was 2001, and January 2001, and that's when I got my head, got shot in the head. And I've had seizures. I'm still under seizure medication. I've had 2 seizures from 2001 to now, and that was in the very beginning. And that's when I told my mom, I'm gonna go, on a bicycle trip across the United States. She's like, what? And I bet my brother, he lost a bet. He had to drive in Anacortes, Washington, which is on the very coast, to the Brooklyn Bridge, was on the other coast, coast to coast. So that was cool, man. What a blessing that was. And so anyway, my mom was tripping because I still had seizures from my gun wound. Because the way my brain works now, it's not like a normal flow like you see. There's stuff in the way, so that kind of causes a ripple, and that's what causes seizures. Anyway, it's a different kind of seizure. Like I said, I had it in 2001, but that is good.
How long did your bike trip take you?
I took 6 months leave of absence for my job, and it took me 4 months.
Was that one way or? out
Yeah, that's
and
just
back?
one way. It's just one way. Believe me, actually, I got so many stories from that trip. But when I was in Wisconsin, I decided to quit. I had it. I'm like, God, I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm calling my mom and having her fly me back home. And man, the Lord blessed me. He sent the right people, man. I stayed with him for a couple of weeks. I helped him rebuild his home. He was doing a remodeling. We went biking together. We cut track for it. It was Wisconsin. It was awesome. Anyway, he wanted to bless me with some money because I was out of money. You know, that was the bummer, dude. I was like, God, I thought you were going to provide, you know, because I was eating raw corn. I was eating like chili beans. I was skinny, dude. You know what I mean? I was eating like the bare minimum. I would run into fields with my bike and start stuffing. You know, the corn was really young then, so I would just eat the whole thing. I would peel and eat the whole thing. But yeah, man, forget about it. Anyway, I don't know, what was your question?
How long were you in a coma?
About 3 days. So my uncle, because it was in the beginning that it was really critical. In the beginning, they had nowhere to put me. They're like, what are we gonna do with this guy? You know, like I said, they had to pick. I'm glad Isabella's not here because she hates when I say this. My bones are like lead, so I'm super heavy dude. Even though I might not look it, I'm really heavy dude. And Isabella's the same way. You used to embarrass, like, pick up my daughter, man. She's like freaking lead. Anyway, they had to carry me up 3 flights of stairs for the respirator. That's the only respirator in the hospital. It was running off a generator. So the circumstances of me surviving what I survived, forget about it. I would wish that of nobody.
So when you were going through all this stuff in the coma and all that stuff, did you feel anything about God while you were going through it?
No, but I didn't read my notes. I had 2 very vivid dreams. One, to my shame, was I'm embarrassed even to say, and the other one was it, man. The other one was the light. You know what I mean? It was pretty cool. You guys want to hear it?
Yeah.
All right. So, to my shame, I was a vivid dream. We're up in the mountains with my father, and in El Salvador they hang everything. There's no dryers. The dryer's the sun over there. So they hang everything. So you would see these old like walls about this high, and it was brick, you know, and it would have like a hook with a line through it, you know, to the other wall. And it was just random. It was weird. Or off houses and such. Anyway, it was one of these, and I was walking around, and then the earthquake happened, and this thing pinned me. The line pinned my chest, and I couldn't get up. I was pinned. I was done, and I got scared. I was so scared that my dad was gonna leave without me, and I was gonna die there. I was freaked out. I was scared to death, and I prayed to God. I said, God, save me now, or this is a bunch of BS, you know? And he didn't save me. Nothing came. I couldn't get up. I thought I was going to get superhuman strength or something. Something flew. Nothing happened. And I told God, if you don't help me, man, I'm going to call other people, you know? And he didn't come. And to my shame, I called other people, man. And that was so bad, you know? And then I woke up. That was one of my dreams I had. I don't know what the heck it means, but anyway. So the other one was pretty cool. I was walking on a beach, and again, there was like ruins, and there was like this house that was burned down. Everything's made out of mortar and brick over there. So it was pretty cool. It was like an open space, and there was a soldier sitting on one of the broken walls that had been like blown up or whatever. There's some water there. And he had a guitar. I mean, he had a gun, like an M16. But on the M16, there was like 3 strings, like guitar strings on it. freaking wicked, man. I wish I could do that. Anyway, so he says to me, and around this, there was a bunch of people that were hurt, like they needed medical attention. And my uncle was helping them. He was healing all of them. And that soldier says to me, hey, all you have to do is walk toward that beach. You walk toward that beach, and the last sound you'll hear is this. And he played those 3 notes, those 3 strings. And I knew that that was it. I mean, if I took that walk, forget about it. That was toast. You know what I mean? And I turned around and asked my uncle, I said, Uncle, am I gonna live through this? Am I gonna be okay? And he says, you're gonna be okay. So I told this, and then that's it. And I woke up. And then my first vision I had, you know, when I told you I was pinned out, they had to restrain me because I would start tearing off all my stuff. I don't know why. I know that second time I did it, I was awake and conscious, and it was because I wanted to see my father. I wouldn't let me see my dad because my dad was in another hospital. Anyway, so about 3 days I was in a coma. That was a good question way back then. So all that happened then.
While you were in a coma, did you feel like it was like you were just sleeping?
No, I didn't. It was just, like I said, all I remember is those two dreams. That's it.
So how long was your recovery? You said when you get out of your coma that you was paralyzed on one side.
Yeah, it was pretty so humbling, man, because I had diapers on. It was 22 diapers. You know, somebody had to change me. You know, it was very super humbling, you know what I mean? And I remember just listening to Marvin Gaye on a cassette. It sounded cheap, but, you know, I was surrounded with people that loved me, and I was just slowly getting, you know, going to somewhere that would, you know, move my arms and all that stuff. And they actually did shock therapy to reconnect the senses back to my brain. So, you know how the brain works, how this side works that side and this side works this side? That's why I left my left side, because it struck the right side of my brain. So I just retrained my brain, or what I had left, to, you know, do this. I couldn't do this for the longest time. And then, now I can. More questions?
What's something cool that happened during your bike trip?
Well, every day was cool. Get the journal. First day. First day, I'm happy-go-lucky. I'm all right. This is cool. I have my bags full of peanut butter. I have bread, and I'm good to go. I'm like, all right, this is it. So I'm jamming along, and then it's getting late, and I see this dude that just pulled into this driveway with a taxi. It was in a taxi. And I said, I'll just ask this guy. He seems like a friendly fellow. So we'll go over, ask this dude, hey dude, is there a park near here or somewhere I can pitch a tent for the night? He's like, oh, just come to my house. You know, I live about 3 houses down, you can camp in the front lawn. I'm like, cool. So I followed him up. He's there. He's a taxi driver in Seattle or something, and he's there with his wife. They live like right on the creek, a little like trailer, like you go camping in. That was their home. That was pretty cool, I guess. And anyway, they invited me to stay inside the home. We had spaghetti. I mean, and then it was such a blessing. And I told him about Jesus Christ, because that's what this whole thing's about. So I told him the plan of salvation. I told him how good God is. And then we watched, have you seen Pay It Forward? I'm like, nope. It's like, oh, we got to watch it. So we watched Pay It Forward. And they said, sleep in the spare bedroom. They had like a little extra off to the side. And that's it. And in the morning, it's like, we're going to be gone in the morning, but here's this, and that. It's like, no, man, you're too good to me. Anyway, so they left. You know, I was by myself, and they had 2 huge bags of groceries for me. You know, and I was like, I feel so bad because I just started my trip. You know what I mean? They fed me my first night, so my bags are still fully packed, but I feel so bad, right? Because it's like a gift. So I'm like, okay, I can take the peanut butter and stuff that somewhere, you know? And I can take this, and you know, but I left a lot of it. They gave me fruit. I think I left all the fruit because I couldn't bring it. I took what I could because it was a blessing in it. I didn't want to leave it. But so anyway, yeah. So that was the first day. So you can imagine, there's some really good stories that the Lord gave me.
While you were on the trip, did you know of like anybody that you met like from back on the trip when they texted you, like now and said, hey man, you influenced my life with your Christ, or did you meet anyone that would help influence them?
Oh, from then?
Yeah.
Um,
Like on the trip.
I kept in touch with the Glazes. That's one of the cool stories. I kept in touch with them, and for a long while, you know, we have sent postcards and check how I'm doing, how they're doing, and they're a blessing, dude. But I'm sure that their son got married. He was about your age when I was there with them. They had the kid, the daughter, and a little girl. And I would just spend all day with them. I would, you know, work with their father from morning till evening, but on the weekends, I would take them to the park or something. They totally trusted me. Then they took me in. It was, you want to hear the whole story? Do we have time?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you got planned.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the time that I almost quit. This is the time I said, forget it, I want to go home, I want to call my mom. Anyway, I was down to my last $5, you know, and I had $5 left. I mean, I would work for chocolate, well, I'd do anything, but I was done with my last $5. I didn't, I was, you know, was running out of stuff to do, supplies, you know. So I was bummed out, and I was going up, and bicycle, I finally learned how to, because I didn't even know when I initially set this out, I didn't even know how to ride a bike. As far as like the speeds, like changing speeds and stuff, you know. Anyway, so I was going up this mountain, or up this hill into the town, and I had it like in high gear, and I was like spinning like crazy, but going nowhere. You know what I mean? Anyway, so, and then this girl was like jogging next to me like this, and she's like, "You want to help them?" And I'm like, it's like, we're doing this fundraiser for women's something, and I'm like, how much is it? She's like, it's $5 for a Coke and a hot dog. I'm like, I got $5, like my last $5, right? It's like, I'm gonna treat myself to a hot dog and a Coke, and then we call my mom and call it quits, you know. So I sat down with them, like, what a great opportunity. I started talking about Jesus Christ and how He loves us, you know, and because she asked me what I was doing. I said, are you from around here? It's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. He's like, where can I pitch a tent? Where's like the closest? Because I figured this out pretty quick. Like during that summer, it's okay, it's free to go to a swimming pool. Like to go swimming, you know? Anyway, so I said, where's like the local, you know, YMCA or whatever. Anyway, so she told me, and I passed a part going there. I went in there, and what I would do in my trip, when I had opportunity, I would shower with the clothes I had on. Like the previous day, you know? I would shower, this is all part of the story. I would shower and clean my clothes, wring it out, and then clean my body, and then put clean clothes on, and then go pitch a tent. So I got all my stuff, I'm all cleaned up, I go to pitch a tent, I hang my line, I start hanging my white clothes, and I go to sleep. And thinking tomorrow morning when I call my mom and I'm out of here. So this cop rolls by. So he says, hey, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm sleeping. And he says, well, you can't camp here, dude. You have to go like 5 miles this way or 4 miles that way to the closest camping. I'm like, dude, I just showered out and I learned this. I asked him, where's your city hall? Because I was told that in city hall, you can pitch a tent and they can't tell you to leave. So I said, where's your city hall? Because I was going to pitch a tent. And, you know, I said, dude, I'll leave in the morning, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he's like, all right, come with me. So I followed him to the police station. And I was in a police station. I'm like, oh, okay. And he called this guy. His name was Dean Glaze. He's like, hey, dude, I got this guy riding his bike. He's, you know, can you put him up for the night? He's like, yeah, bring him up. So he gave me a police escort up the hill. I tell you, there was a guy, his name is Dean Glaze, and his son Eric Glaze. And he was about 14. And they met me out in the street. And I said, how you doing? You know, we introduced her. He took me to the house. And he offered me something to eat. And I said, no, thank you. I just had a hot dog and a Coke, which was like nice. Anyway, so I was there. And I said, well, this is my last one. You know what I mean? And I don't know if this guy's a Jehovah's Witness. I don't know if this guy is anti-God, you know. And anyway, I said, okay, I don't care. You know what I mean? So I told the guy, I've been doing this for Jesus Christ, and he loves me, he loves us. And I just told him the whole spiel, man. And he's like, cool. And I said, I noticed that you're doing construction. And he's like, yeah, I'm remodeling my house, I started with my daughter's closet and turned to her bedroom and to the bathroom. His whole upstairs was shot. I said, well, I don't have experience, with you doing sheetrock and a little bit of construction. So I stayed with him for about 3 weeks, and it was awesome. We worked, like I said, it was Eric, Stephanie was the youngest one, and the middle daughter had like Noel or something. Anyway, so this little girl was so sweet. She was like 8 or 9. And all she wanted to do was play, on the weekends, and her parents were busy doing other stuff. So they would totally trust me to take her to the park and just hang out with them, you know what I mean? So it was pretty cool. It was everybody I met, everybody that I interacted with was a blessing, and it was like good people, man, It was just, and I was kind of a little skeptical because this was the anniversary. This is another story. This is the anniversary of 9/11 when 9/11 happened. So I was kind of a little apprehensive because I'm a little 10. Anyway, I'm riding my bike. I messed up my knees. I stayed with this other story. But the one I want to tell you about is I stayed with this lady. She works at the Red Cross. Her name was, I don't remember her name, but she worked for the Red Cross, and I was like, I needed to, my knees hurt. My knees were shot out. So I pulled in and I was like, hey, I was thinking to get help or something. She drives me, I leave my bike there, she drives me to the town, to the hospital, and the guy says, you're gonna have to stay off your bike for about a week and take this and that. So I did, and on the way back, I'm like, so this guy, Dean, when I just left, he gave me $300. And he said, I know I owe you much more than this, but here you go, to keep me going on my trip, you know what I mean? And so I was like, I have $300, you know what I mean? So I can stay at a hotel for a week and I'm good. And the lady's like, no, PJ Albro, that was her name. So she takes me to her house and she said, you can stay with me, but I'm sorry. This was like a Friday, she's like, I'm leaving to see my sister for the weekend. I'm going back to Monday. Here's the keys to my car. She went shopping. Here's the groceries. She asked, what do you like to eat? Like, at that point, I've been eating, pretty good. So, anyway, so she bought me all these groceries, gave me her house, the keys to her car, and she left for the weekend. And then on Monday, I started helping her at the Red Cross, making phone calls, people to donate blood and stuff. Anyway, I spent, obviously, a week there, and it was awesome. We did some kayaking. This one night kayak. She had a bunch of friends that kayaked and built their own, so it was pretty cool. And it just rolls into another story. I stayed with Amish people. That was cool. And yeah, in the middle of New Jersey, that was my another moment. Like, what are you gonna do now, God? Show me, because this is like, I'm in the middle of town. There's nowhere to put my tent. I have no idea where City Hall is. They probably don't even have a City Hall. And I turn around and there's the Salvation Army. And that's a cool story too. Anyway, that's it. Someone stay.
Real quick, how old were you when you went on the bike trip?
24.
24. So you basically got back and went straight on.
What's that?
Once you healed up.
Yeah, that's what freaked everybody out. That's what freaked my mom. I was like, you just had 2 seizures, and I'm like, Mom, I'll be all right. I had to call her every day. But I did, and it's so awesome. She kept a little calendar, and I have it of every time I called and what I was doing and who I was with and stuff. So she kind of kept the journal too, because I don't know where mine went. Somewhere in the house. But yeah, I journaled the whole thing, man. And like I said, I fell flat on my face. Even on this trip, I was doubting. And it's God's faithful. God's faithful. He's always. This is a new one I read. Here's a room. And the last one. I trust in the Lord. My purpose is to live a surrendered life. God's will be done in my life. we are never done. Paul says in 1 Corinthians, it's a race. So we are constantly moving forward with certainty that we will be with Jesus Christ when He comes. Even though I mess up and I still fall flat on my face, God is faithful. He loves us and His mercies endure forever. That's it. Anyway, if you guys ever want to expand, the reason we got shot, I'll just say it is, the reason we got shot, now that I know, it was my stepmother that wanted my dad's money, but she wanted to kill the both of us so she could get the money. Because my stepbrother, owed a lot of money to my dad, and he was the one I used to go party with.
That's the part, did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Did you guys hear it? Say it one more time.
The whole thing?
Yeah, why you got shot.
The reason I got shot is because my stepmother wanted my dad's money. So she contracted us. Oh, this was crazy, dude. So she contracted her son to contract a cop to get a group together to come shoot us because she wanted the money. And my uncle ran into that cop at a restaurant. He walked in uniform and recognized him. He's like, that's the guy that came in first. And they said he got chills in his spine. He's like, this is the guy that almost killed my nephew. But he couldn't do nothing. He was in a police uniform. You know what I mean? It was crazy. It was crazy times. And then my brothers, God bless their heart, they were going to kill my stepmother and my stepbrother for us. We got your back, Dad and brother. You know what I mean? That was crazy. It was crazy, dude. They actually, it's so corrupt over there that my brother paid. He sold his bike to pay to buy a gun over there and had my cousins delete them from ever coming to the country. They're both sniper. One was a sniper in the Marine Corps and the other one was just a front in the Marine Corps. Anyway, so they were gonna go down there and kill like we're gonna kill her first and this guy second. My dad got wind of it and he said, hey, squash it. Your brother and me are alive. I don't want to start more down here. Forget about it. So we forgot about it. But it was very touching that my brother would kill for me, you know?
Who's got a step parent? Who has a step parent?
Be nice to
Who has a step parent? Be nice to your step parent. You don't want to try to knock you off.
That's right, that's the rule of this group.
Right.
I don't want to step on that.